Hi, Esmé. Great to see you again.
And you too. Stop raining a bit, at least for now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, today it's sunny in Durban, and thankfully I'm using my backup router, so at least we won't have any more issues. Yeah, it's been a disruptive day for both of us. So at least, yeah, today's topic is really interesting, especially regarding art and spirituality. It's actually, you gave me the idea of discussing this topic with you. So my first question to you is, how does your spiritual journey influence the themes and emotions you explore in your paintings?
Okay, so first of all, I'd like
Mm-hmm.
to say that I myself am very spiritual. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if that's just an artist, how
Mm-hmm.
we are. So I think we do tend to look at things in a more spiritual way than everybody else. Um, and then there's also, I think, with all the questions today, there could
Mm-hmm.
be, like for each of these questions, like an hour discussion. And for every person, spirituality is something different. So my spiritual, like the way I see it and the way you see it and everybody else could be completely something
Mm-hmm.
else. But I think it does come
Mm-hmm.
down to the same thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, the themes and emotions I explore in my paintings um,
Mm-hmm.
is definitely directly influenced by my like spiritual journey. But also, I don't think as much as people think. Like, I think people don't really understand art as well. Like, most artists don't, I don't think, understand art either. It's just something that I think just happens.
Mm-hmm.
But everything around me does influence me. So, the painting I'm busy now with is, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, yeah, I used to like ride horses a lot, and I love horses. And one of my art students started doing horse riding and just like
Mm-hmm.
talking about horses a lot. And so you can see like how everything around you kind of just
Mm-hmm.
influences you, and makes you want to paint something, if it makes any sense
Yeah,
to you. So and I mean,
sure.
it could be it's definitely it's a long answer if we have to talk about the whole journey.
Of course,
um
of course.
yeah,
Uh,
but it
all
definitely
right.
is influence, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Can you describe a moment when painting felt like a spiritual experience or even a form of worship?
I've thought about that, and I don't think I have like felt like a like like a certain moment, like say like this
Mm-hmm.
moment, like a specific time and date moment. But I
Mm-hmm.
think just to paint by itself is a spiritual like experience. So the
Mm-hmm.
best way I can describe it is like when you are like people like make jokes about that now a lot on like Facebook and memes and stuff, where sometimes when you drive for a long time, for instance, and then you get to your destination, like sometimes when you're alone and you got caught up in your head, you you like you don't even know how you got there. I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but I know it happens to a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people. Like you were driving, but you don't remember like taking over cars or turning or anything. It kind of just happened automatically. Um, so that's kind of sometimes what happens when you're painting. So you're painting, and then you kind of also just go onto like into a like this, like your head goes into a space. But the difference is I can see what I've been doing. So sometimes I'll be sitting for an hour or two painting, but I forget that I'm busy painting. I'm kind of just
Mm-hmm.
doing it, and I'm going through things in my head, and I'm thinking about things, and maybe I'm watching a movie, and then at the same time and then bang, an hour or two later, I'll get up and look at the painting. I'm like, oh, so that's what I've been doing. But I actually didn't really pay attention to what I was doing. I think that's the closest um, answer I can give you. Like, I think that's a spiritual experience. And it can happen in any moment. It doesn't have to necessarily happen when you are like painting. But I don't think I've ever had like a certain moment. Maybe I will, but I haven't yet like have one certain moment where
Okay.
I'm like, okay, this is the moment. Or yeah.
You choose colors, deeper
So
spiritual.
that definitely needs to be something. spiritual, because I don't plan my paintings. I plan like the layout of the paintings, but when it comes to the colors, it's kind of more like a situation that I pack out all my colors, and then the one that speaks to me like the most, I don't have any like plan as to I'm going to use red because of this. Instead, unless somebody asks me to do that, but I don't have any like it's not a plan I follow. So it definitely it's not something that I can explain to you. I just kind of look at the painting, and then I look at the paint, and then I look at the painting, and then I'm like, this is the one I'm going to use. Every culture has different meanings to colors, I think, as well. So I don't have certain feelings necessarily attached to colors that I know of. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Do you approach with intention or ritual, prayer, or grounding practices?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but eventually, like I said, like I can use the same example when you're driving. Like it kind of just happens eventually. So when you are busy painting, I think it takes me about an hour and a half to go into it, and then it kind of definitely becomes like a sort of a meditation, and definitely grounding. So if you are an artist yourself, like even the kids that I'm teaching, and just all the people I know that are artists will come to me and say, listen, I need to paint. Like I need to paint. I can't tell you like exactly what it is, but it definitely is grounding, and it definitely is a kind of meditation. So yeah, I think that probably says that I am approaching the canvas with the intention to kind of meditate. Prayer, I think all of those things happen at once. You pray, it's kind of a prayer as well, because you're doing something, but the back of your mind is actually more in control. So it kind of just brings things forward. So yes, all three of those things, I think, basically. But also not. It's all of them and none, or something like that, It's something that just happens naturally, yeah. And you just can't live without it. After a while, you can't. Like, it depends on what it is, but yeah, you have to do it. Like, you're like, okay, this is something I need to do right now,
Okay, how do you differentiate between painting from inspiration and painting from intuition, especially in a spiritual sense?
I don't think I've actually figured intuition out very well. I don't think any of us have. Inspiration is something that you can easily grasp and see. So I can see that's inspirational. That's inspirational. That's something I might want to paint. This person is, like, so there's a lot of inspiration, I think, especially if you look at things that way. But intuition, I think a lot of people have lost the ability to follow the intuition. We just have kind of things just always just here. I don't know. But inspiration and intuition is connected. And I think intuition is connected to a lot more than just inspiration. And I think you kind of start learning how to follow your intuition. So, I mean, it could be different for everybody else. But for me, where I kind of think I've been figured out where the difference is. Like, I can be inspired and see, okay, that's a nice painting, and people will send me pictures, and then I'll see it, and then I'll think about it for a bit. But when I think it's my intuition that's like taking over, it's when it keeps coming up. Like, it's the same thing. Sometimes I see the same thing, like just see this painting like in my head the whole time. Like, it keeps coming up. Like, I see a lot of paintings, a lot, but sometimes it's the same thing that repeats itself, like, like continuously. And I think that's kind of what I think at the moment. Intuition could be a sort of intuition.
Okay, have there been paintings that felt like they were channeled through you rather than consciously created?
again, I think not 100% ever. Like I've never had 100% feeling where this is not like consciously.
Okay.
It always starts. It always starts consciously. Consciously,
Okay.
and then
Of course.
at one point it starts going into like the next like I think we are just channeling things around us all the time, even if you don't know you are. You know, like you are channeling everything around you all the time, and you are definitely channeling something through you, but it's not necessarily like a specific thing. It's a lot of things that you are channeling, and you definitely do get into that state when you are painting. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. In what ways do you believe art and painting in particular can facilitate healing or inner transformation for the viewer?
So that is also a thing that I have been thinking a lot about. And like I said, again, all of these questions is something that I can talk on one of these subjects for hours, and we can, I think art is just such an open discussion, and it's such an open discussion because it's different for every person. But yes, I think it is, because I think we are, as humans, not, especially nowadays, I know people always tell me they're not creative, they don't know how to be creative and things like that, but I don't believe that. I believe that, like, even if you're not the most creative person and the best painter in the world, that you should be painting. Even if you're not the best dancer, or you have to dance, you know. So painting is like, we tend to keep a lot of emotions and everything around us. Like I don't think people really understand and grasp how much of a energy we have inside of ourselves. So yes, I think painting is definitely healing. So because you have something that you can see after you paint it. And for each person it's different, but the ability to be able to create things has become less and less of a normality for people. And I think we are supposed to be creating something, even if it's not a painting, if it's just making a knife, or if it's whatever it is. Just, we are supposed to be creating things, just to be able to be like, to get rid of like the things that are building up inside of us. Does that make any sense to you?
Okay. Do you feel a responsibility as a painter to reflect something sacred or transcendent in your work?
I do feel like that. But then also that can put a lot of pressure on you. And that's why I said in the previous interview, that is where you need to draw the line and be like, okay, that is my responsibility, but I can't do that with other people in my mind. I need to do that for myself. So it needs to be from my perspective, because I can't understand your perspective. So yeah, it does feel, it definitely feels like a responsibility sometimes. Also, you want people to look at the painting and see more than just, they need to feel something, and that could be a very difficult thing to do. So it does get like to a point sometimes where you're like, okay, like, I feel responsible to be able to do this. But in the same sense, if you feel that way the whole time while you're painting, then none of these other questions or any of these other things are going to happen. So it's something you kind of learn to feel responsible, but also in the same sense not limit yourself. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. So, what advice artists who want to express in their painting start?
I would just say start. Just start, because people they are very scared to paint. The main problem with painting is like every single person, and adults, especially kids, are not as scared as adults, but painting itself is spiritual, and you are spiritual. Like all of us are like spiritual beings. So just start. That's all. Like just start, and if you make mistakes, you make mistakes. Like the spiritual side of it will come eventually. But to have fear to paint is like your worst enemy. I mean, I didn't just start painting yesterday. Some of my paintings look terrible. I mean, I've had, you know, paintings that that I just like painted over. But whatever the situation is, you need to take risks, and you need to just explore, and then all of these things will fall in line naturally. My cat is
Okay.
getting.
That's okay. Oh, shame. It's all right.
He fights with me.
Yeah.
He wants me
That's
to
okay.
too.
That's all right. Okay. My final question to you is: in today's fast-paced digital world, what role do you believe spirituality-rooted painting plays in reconnecting us to ourselves or something greater?
I think it plays a very important role. People are talking about like, and it's been going on for years, where like, is art necessary? Like, is it necessary to paint? Like, isn't AI going to take that over? Like, because I mean, you can just print something and edit it yourself at home, and all those things. So, I mean, everything's gonna, not just art. Like the digital world is like replacing everything. But we are still human, and we have lost our like attention span. Like if you watch videos on TikTok and on Facebook and everywhere you watch, like the attention span has become like a lot shorter, and it's becoming shorter and shorter. Like in the first 1.2 seconds of a video, people decide if they're going to watch your video, for instance. And I can go into a lot of detail about this. So people are just losing their ability to focus, and they are kind of just using energy, but they're not, or they're taking energy in, but they're not using it. So just a simple example could be also like, I've noticed a lot of people, like they can't even watch a movie anymore. They watch a movie and they're on their phone, or they're making food, but they are watching a series, or they're folding the laundry, but they're always on the phone. So I mean, I don't think we understand how bad that is yet, because like we have different parts of our brain that needs to be stimulated, and just that alone is just enough. And I think painting is one of the few things that people could do as well, just kind of to just keep that part of your brain active, where you can do something without needing to do something else, and where that part of your brain that needs to cut off. This is this subject I can speak to about for hours. The fact that we struggle to sleep so much as well is also like partly linked to that, because we're supposed to be going through hours a day or 2 hours a day where you're not taking in information from a screen or something, or you're supposed to be getting rid of it, if it makes any sense to you, or just kind of just going through it.
Yeah.
So now you get in bed 10 o'clock at night, and you've been scrolling, and you've been doing your work, and then you can't sleep, because then your brain gets a chance by then to just really like just work through things. So yes, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's extremely important. It doesn't have to be painting; it could be something else, but I think it's extremely, extremely important. Yeah.
Okay. All I gotta say for your time, and as usual, we'll catch up.
Okay. I hope I answered your questions well enough.